Thank you, Minister, for your time. All three government parties gave commitments to in their manifestos to carry out a feasibility study into Metro South West. This was given on the back of considerable campaigning by the Metro South West group. As you can imagine, Minister, the campaign group were delighted when they heard the feasibility study was going ahead, but then had the difficulty when they sought the terms of reference and found that the terms of reference as set the feasibility study is confined to a standalone metro from Metro to Knocklion. The group was informed by the officials in the department that it refers to a standalone to the city rather than being a continuation of the metro link to southwest Dublin. It makes no reference to that preferred option of the continuation. It doesn't take into account Firhouse as an area of growing population. And the lack of this continuation of the link was the very basis on which the campaign over the last number of years was mounted. So there was a lack of consultation with this group, and it is a matter of regret because taxpayers' money is now being spent on a feasibility study where there is a perception that it has been designed to fail. The group that are campaigning here, they're not any fly-by-night group. They're a group that represent 35 residents' associations in that southwest triangle between the two Lewis lines. They've gone to considerable effort to demonstrate that buses alone cannot deliver sufficient capacity to fulfil the public transport needs in southwest Dublin. The contrast between southwest Dublin and southeast Dublin is really quite stark. Southeast Dublin has Dart, Lewis. It has had the long-established quality bus corridor along the Stillorgan Road there, whereas southwest Dublin is based on buses alone. And a very deep analysis has gone into Bus Connects, taking it at its height with all the Bus Connects proposes. We're still only looking at an extra 3 buses, an extra capacity of 240 seats and passengers within for that huge now area of population and even a projected population there. You know, at this moment in time, developers are actively building houses. Southwest Dublin, Dublin County Council are developing. There's 480 hectares zoned for residential development. So the bus capacity as it stands at this moment in time doesn't meet the population need, let alone the future capacity. And so it is crucial that bus alone is not going to be the answer here. We needed another solution, and so an awful lot of work went in to the Southwest Metro proposals, and very earnest analysis of population and of capacity, public transport capacity, was put into it. So it's deeply disappointing that the terms of reference of the feasibility study as they currently stand are so incredibly narrow. You know, the feasibility study should stand on a number of pillars. First of all, it should be independent and objective, and with due respect, the NTA have come out and said buses alone will meet this. They have rejected the Southwest Metro Group's proposals on several times in the past, based on what is significantly outdated study that has no relevance to the proposal as it is put forward by this campaigning group. So they are not independent and they're not seeming to be objective. So prescribing the terms of reference in this instance, I would venture to say, is not appropriate on their part. You know, the idea of the terminus for the continuation of the Metro link should be left open. Prescribing it as being Knocklion absolutely limits its capacity, and it limits its scope for being a really productive feasibility study. Lastly, it should be timely, it should be coordinated, that the outcome of the feasibility study is with the rail order of next year, and I would say that it needs to have independent consultants who are involved here. The cost-benefit analysis of extending the Southwest to extending the Metro link using the boring machine there really stands on its merits as being a very good cost-benefit analysis and making the best sense. So I'd urge you, Minister, to have meaning discussions with this campaign group and to include their views in the terms of reference, please. Thank you.
Very much, Sandra. Minister, you have 4 minutes.
Well, first, I'd like to thank the Senate for inviting me to speak here for the first time, and I'm impressed by the passion and coherence of your question that you've put forward today. So I want to start by saying that the government is committed to a fundamental change in the nature of transport in Ireland. We believe that to deliver on this commitment means we need a whole-of-system perspective across all modes of transport, whether that's active travel, bus or rail. and that means developing evidence-based, multimodal transport strategies that guide development over the medium and long term. Transport strategies that are integrated with land use plans and enable local authorities to locate houses, jobs and other demand factors along high-capacity transport corridors. And this is the type of framework that many of our EU and international peers use, and that's the framework that can deliver fundamental change. In Ireland, we're beginning to see the emergence of that type of framework. And so in the Greater Dublin area, we have a statutory 20-year transport strategy, and that is developed by the NTA and approved by the Minister. And it is a transport strategy that covers all modes and all counties in the Greater Dublin area, Dublin, Meath, Kildare and Wicklow. It must be reflected in all land use plans, and it is subject to extensive and statutory consultation during its development. The current strategy was published in 2016, and it referred to 2 metro lines, effectively a Metro North and a Metro South. Those projects were initially considered for development as one project known as Metrolink, but in response to issues raised during the non-statutory consultation process, the preferred route for Metrolink is now proposed to link Estuary in North County Dublin with Charlemont on the Grand Canal, and future-proof for a later connection to the Lewis Green Line. That is the project that will be taken forward by government for a government approval next year, and if approved, that is the project that will be submitted to On Board Planola. But that doesn't mean that we're not open to new ideas or the potential for other metro options. So the NTA are currently preparing to launch a review of the transport strategy to ensure that it is kept up to date and informed by latest developments. This need to review and refresh is both common sense and also a requirement of the legislation, which states that the strategy must be reviewed by the NTA every 6 years. As part of that review, the NTA will consider the potential for future metro options in the Greater Dublin area, including the potential for one in the southwest of the city. The first step in considering that potential is to conduct a feasibility study, and that is the process the NTA are seeking to now start. The study will consider whether a metro-type solution should be pursued further for this part of the city. The study area will be similar to that considered in the original transport strategy and will look at the southwest corridor in general. This is just one piece of analysis being conducted as part of the NTA's broader review of the transport strategy. The intention is that all of these various strands of analysis will be published by the NTA next year as part of the public consultation on the review of the strategy. Everyone will then have an opportunity to consider the information and to put forward their views as regards how the revised transport strategy should look. The transport strategy is a hugely important framework for the future development of transport infrastructure in the Greater Dublin area, and I expect that lots of people will have interesting ideas on what any revised strategy should contain, and I look forward to hearing the Senator's views on this matter.
Senator, you have a minute.
Thank you. And thank you. And I note and completely respect that there is an openness to, I suppose, modality changes. I think across our population we are trying to encourage that. There's no question about that. However, and I note that you're saying there is a framework there, and the framework is about being evidence-based. And that goes along with work patterns, it goes along with residential capacity and predicted development there also. However, I suppose in this particular terms of reference for the Knocklion feasibility study, in that it being standalone suddenly removes whole sections of the population that are only currently being served by buses. So having it terminate at Knocklion just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And with due respect to everything that the NTA does, they have previously done a study where they confined the population again, whereas the population that's being proposed by the Southwest Metro Group and everything that they've based their proposal on is on a population that is exactly the same as that which justified the building of the Green Line. So it really needs to be broadened. It really needs to consider House. So thank you.
Thank you. So, as I said, it's a whole of system approach, and the route the route in the southwest is not fixed. It's not decided yet, and it's not even decided whether it will go southwest. The southeast is also being considered in a feasibility study, and other sections around the city, and all of the different proposals that are made for where we should expand our rail network will have to be prioritised according to each other. So it is not yet fixed. I'm happy to bring your comments to the Minister. And I absolutely recognise that the southwest of the city has a particular problem in terms of transport constraint due to the sort of the layout of the narrow streets. And this came up during the Bus Connect's consultation, that it was very difficult to put in public transport down that sector. And I am also aware that since 1975, I believe that there have been proposals for rail connections towards the southwest of the city and beyond the M50, or beyond where the M50 is now. So thank you very much.